Oi! Yes. What's happening, everybody? It is Wednesday night. It is an hour later than normal. Having dinner with the girlfriend tonight. Obviously, it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you guys out there. I hope you all had a great night tonight. But it's back to work right now. We got UFC 298 coming up this Saturday, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria. An absolutely fabulous featherweight 5-round main event for the championship. It is the GOAT against the young upstart. Ilia, only 27 years old, looking to upset a guy who has been at the top of this featherweight division and pretty much cleaned it out over the last few years. So it's going to be really interesting to see if the young lion can knock the old lion off the top of the mountain. So I'm really looking forward to this slate of fights. And I mean, like, this main card is so stacked. You know, I mean, if Paulo Costa shows up to fight, his fight against Whitaker is going to be an absolute banger. And then you got Ian Gary going up against Jeff Neal. It's the next step up the ladder for him. A really good southpaw striker with a ton of power in Jeff Neal, trying to knock Ian Gary off of his undefeated streak here, not only in the UFC, but also as a professional, completely undefeated. So, and then you got Dvalishvili versus Cejudo. And then you've got Roman Kopylov versus Anthony Hernandez, which is just an absolutely incredible striker versus grappler matchup there that I can't wait to break down. Had some fun breaking down all of these fights this week on Just a Tip with your Uncle Weezy, also on Stat Diggers on Pub Sports Radio, my guy DFS by the Numbers. And I've got 4 bets so far on this card, and it was a busy day today. So didn't get to kind of like finalize all the bets like I normally do, but got, a couple of DFS lineups together and just started looking at the prize picks and underdog props and almost finished coding this new product. Just finished coding a new section of it that I'm pretty excited to debut once everything is cleaned up. But I'm here to answer your questions today. This is what this show is all about. I've got all the numbers here. I've got all the benchmarks. I've got all the data and the analytics. You can ask me questions about prize picks props, underdog props, money lines, bets, anything that you need for DFS. I've got the data. Let your Uncle Weezy answer your questions today on Ask Weezy here. We can talk about just about anything, as always. You know, I talk about music. I talk about a bunch of other stuff. If you follow me on Twitter, today's been kind of a strange day for your Uncle Weezy on Twitter. So, let's kick it off, you guys. I'll share my screen with you guys here. I've got the Hernandez versus Kopylov stats up here. I've got DraftKings. I've got Caesars. I've got Bet Online. I've got Bet Rivers here, so we can check out any lines that you guys are looking at, and we can take a look at underdog as well. See what these props are looking like. And let me see if they just like let you in, Come on. Without me having to log in online. And then we'll do prize picks as well. Let's see here. There, prize picks will just let you in. Right? View all. MMA, UFC. Damn, come on. Seriously, you just won't let me. The hell, man? Today's board. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Let's see what's going on here. We got my guy Topuria Paku in the room saying, sure. We got DFS by the Numbers in the room. My partner on Stat Digger saying, oi, what's up, Brady? Good to see you hanging out in here. Let me know if you got any questions for your Uncle Weezy, Brady. We got Hap Chandler in the room saying, what's good to Paku? We got Joshua Frick in the room saying, sup, Weezy? We got Topuria saying, oi, Uncle Weezy. We got Topuria saying, Hap, brother, what's up? Hap Chandler in there flexing, saying he's the first time in this chat heard from Paku and Spartacus. You're a great channel. Look forward to it, Weezy. Yeah, man, let me know if you got any questions about any of these fighters, any of these stats, any of these analytics for this particular card. We're all looking to stack cash tickets like flapjacks in this spot here. So it's going to be fun to break down this card and try to find the spots that we all can profit from. We got K-Dog in the room saying, "Oi, T.O. Weezy, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here, my man. I appreciate you guys." We got Teratea saying, "Hey, Weezy, I max bet Volk's money line on Tuesday. I've been tracking the line for about a month and I sniped it at minus 110. Feels like a steal for the featherweight GOAT on a full camp. Up the Aussies. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie." And then you guys can just say oi, oi, oi out there. Look, I am probably going to get on a Volk bet myself this week. This guy is the GOAT. He is a master of distance management, of doing things at distance that his opponents aren't really comfortable with, or that maybe take them by surprise a little bit. He can make in-fight adjustments to find your weaknesses. He can download everything that you're doing in the fight and make it hard for you to execute your game plan while he executes his flawlessly. Great fight IQ, great speed still, a little bit of power, and a lot of volume. The guy stays very, very busy and he doesn't get tired. The submission defense is excellent. The ability to be able to wrestle and win minutes with his grappling game and top control and ground and pound, also excellent. And he's undefeated at featherweight in the UFC. So, he's right back down to the weight class where he reigns supreme. So this is one of those bets that I think that if you lose it, you're going to be able to comfort yourself by saying, all right, you know what? Somebody else timed it. They timed it. That's hard to do, because there were a lot of people who tried to time Anderson Silva's demise. And there were people who tried to, time George St. Pierre's, demise. And a lot of these guys that were dominant, Kamaru Usman, Habib, and they're dominant. They keep winning, and you think like, oh man, this is the time this is the time I got to short them. This is the time they're not going to get it done. Well, some of those guys just never stop winning. And then you wind up fading them, and just getting it run up your arse. And it's not fun, So when you get an opportunity to get a guy like Volkanovski, who's never lost at featherweight, who's really kind of cleaned out that division, it's something that you don't really want to pass up at minus 110. And if it winds up being that Volk really is kind of like taking that turn for the worse, that he is getting towards the end of his career, that it's the signs are going to show to the rest of the public that it's time for him to hang it up. But I'm throwing out the last fight. It's meaningless to me. You take a fight up a weight class in Abu Dhabi on less than 2 weeks' notice when you weren't even training because you were rehabbing from elbow surgery. It's not a surprise that he got knocked out in that fight. But now he's back fighting at his rightful weight class against people his own size. And it's going to be a fair fight. And he's got a full camp. He's ready to go. I love that bet. That gets the Uncle Weezy, bam, stamp of approval. Teretea, I wish you luck on that. And I will probably be cashing right along with you on Volk's money line on Saturday because I haven't bet it yet, but I am going to bet it at some point. We got the Cuban Assassin, my guy, in the room saying, "What it do, Weezy? Happy Valentine's Day. Marab's nose is sideways. Why doesn't he fix that thing? Probably get better cardio." Imagine that. Yeah, dude, I think it's really hindering his cardio because he looks like he's slowing down a lot in fights. Yeah, dude, it's weird when you look at that nose and you think like this guy, puts on the most hellacious pace in the entire UFC, and it clearly like the nose isn't even working properly. He's a very unique human being. He's definitely got a gift for just cardio or for, just having that iron lung to never get tired. Some people's bodies, they're just working at a different rate. And he's one of those dudes. It's going to be so much fun to see what kind of game plan he brings to a Henry Cejudo fight. Does he really want to try to wrestle him a lot? Or does he want to try to just outstrike him at range with the volume? Because he's so much faster than Henry right now, because he's got so much better cardio and can just, put the pace on Henry. That's going to be really interesting to see how that works for him. Because I think if he tries to really out wrestle and outwork Henry, that he's going to wind up on his back a lot. And I think if he winds up on his back, Henry's going to be able to keep him there and win some minutes there in the fight and make this thing extremely close. And if he's too reckless trying to pressure him to drown Henry in volume, I could really see Henry landing something big, because we've seen Merab walk onto some big shots before. He doesn't have this amazing striking defense. His defense is just his constant offense. And I think that's a pretty good way to play defense, actually, especially when you have the conditioning and the ability to push through like Merab Dvalishvili has. He's a very special fighter, and I can't wait to see him fight on Saturday. Is the four-legger getting cooked tomorrow? It is going to get cooked tomorrow, and it's going to get put out on Friday after the weigh-ins. I always wait until after the weigh-ins because when I was doing the greasy four-legger before the weigh-ins, I was finding a knack for always having the fight that was going to get canceled in the four-legger. So by Friday evening, it was already a three-legger. And then sometimes on fight day, it was down to a two-legger. So I like to make sure that, everybody makes weight. And then if somebody doesn't make weight, if they miss by 2.5 pounds and I'm going live like an hour after the weigh-ins, I'll try to just remove that fight from the equation, just because knowing that it might get canceled, so that we can have a four-legger where we got a chance to cash all four legs and get something like plus 700, plus 800 on the parlay. So yeah, I'm going to figure it out tomorrow or start to look at it tomorrow. And then Friday after the weigh-ins, after I see everything that I need to see and all the information is now complete and we're just waiting for fight day, that's when the four-legger is going to get cooked up, Abdi. We got K-Dog saying, what happened on Twitter? If bots harassing you, we riot. No. Okay, so yeah, what happened? What happened is Charles Johnson clipped a couple of clips of me talking shit about his haircut on the Pub Sports Radio live stream on the week that he fought Azat Maksum. And he put it on Twitter today, saying that, like, I guess somebody he was talking to Pub Sports Radio about maybe doing an interview, and then he went back and he saw that, and he saw me saying that when you make bad decisions in the barber's chair, it leads to bad decisions in the cage and bad decisions in life. He was really mad about it. Like, Charles was mad at me for saying that shit. And yeah, he tweeted it and he clipped two clips about it, saying like we were just bitter about losing our bets and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, I bet on this guy. I bet on him against Makayev. I bet on him against Esteban. I bet against him in the Zhumagulov fight. I've never gotten his fights right. And I've lost money on him. I've lost money betting against him. So I mean, like, I've backed him. I know what his skill set is. He's got phenomenal cardio, really good striking, and he's got solid takedown defense. But the guys that he's been fighting have been drowning him in takedown attempts. But he's a slow starter. He doesn't have great power, the ability to be able to really finish fights with one good shot. So he's losing a lot of minutes to the grappling exchanges. And coming out the other end with a lot of decision losses. He's a very durable dude as well. But yeah, so he clipped that and he was mad about that. I was talking about his haircut, and it's like, I mean, what am I supposed to say about that haircut? I mean, I guess it's called a skullet. I didn't know that people even named a haircut like that. There shouldn't even be enough people on planet Earth wearing that type of hairstyle for it to actually come up with a name. But yeah, man, it wasn't bots. It was just Charles Johnson, who's pissed about my opinion about his haircut. And he's got a right to be pissed because I've talked a lot of shit about that man's haircut. Okay. So, it is what it is. We got my guy David Dennett in the room, took out the grinder to roll a fat. Oi! Fun fucking card this weekend. Pumped to see it live. Dude, you're going to be seeing this live. That's going to be great, man, because that main card, I can't wait to see Cejudo Dvalishvili. I can't wait to see Kopylov versus Hernandez. Hernandez is one of my favorite fighters. Dvalishvili, one of my favorite fighters because of the pace that he puts on. And then Neal versus Gary is going to be fun. If Costa shows up to fight and is on weight, that's going to be fun against Whitaker. And then come on, Volk versus Topuria. But then some of these prelims are fun too. Lemos versus Dern. I think the the Min Yang Zhang versus Hibero, while it's a lower level fight, both of these guys are finishers. I think these guys have only been to decision twice in 43 combined fights, so that promises to be a bit of a ding dong. It's gonna be a fun night of fights, so I'm really looking forward to it. I know that David, being a big fight fan, is probably going to be there from the very first fight all the way through the end of it, because that's going to be a great card. We got Antonio Esparza saying, "What's up, Unc? What's up, Antonio? Good to see you hanging out in here, my man. Let me know if you got any questions for your Uncle Weezy today." We got the Cuban Assassin in the room saying, "By the way, Jeff Neal looks like he means business in his interview today. He's ready to go." Yeah, dude, Jeff Neal's a scary dude. That guy's left hand is like a brick. I think they let him sneak like a roll of dimes or nickels into that left hand glove, because when he hits dudes, they go down. And he hasn't flashed as much power recently as he has when he was fighting just like the mid-range guys, but now that he's fighting the Rachmanovs of the world and the guys that Neal's been in there against, I mean, are some really phenomenal fighters. And he's on a three fight losing streak, but against who? It's against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Oh no, I'm sorry. He lost 3 of his last 5. Magny and Stephen Thompson, and then he beats Luque and Ponzinibbio. But Ian Gary's on a 13 fight win streak. So it's going to be interesting to see if Neal can win the moments here, because he's got that negative 0.91 distance striking differential. He throws 11.1 significant strike attempts per minute at distance, and there's 15.6 coming back his way. So his opponents are throwing a lot more volume than he does. And with Gary, it's the complete opposite. He's throwing 13.43. His opponents are only throwing about 9, and he's got a positive 3.46 distance striking differential and flashing some power as well. Neal's numbers are a little bit better than him in the power numbers, but still, I think Gary can win the minutes of this fight, but also has a chance to win the moments. So I like Gary to win this one, win it by decision. Jeff Neal's a very durable dude, but this is going to be a hell of a fight, man. I can't wait for that one. We got Real Fight Picks in the room saying Weezy is a living legend. I don't know about living legend, but definitely living. That we're living, my man. We got a Paloma right here. It's Valentine's Day. We're talking fights. It's a nice evening. All right. We got Antonio Esparza saying Charles Johnson versus Uncle Weezy to open up the prelims on UFC 300. Dude, I don't think anybody wants to see that. And the only way I'm making 126, you guys, is in a pine box. That would literally I'd probably need to cut about 115 pounds to get down to that level, because I am not a flyweight. I could make flyweight maybe 6 months after I died, after enough flesh rotted off my body and I was just the bones. Then maybe I can make down to 125, but I'm going to be dead at that point. So it really would be a horrible fight. Whether I'm alive or dead, it would be a horrible fight. But yeah, I don't know if that's going to work out. I don't know if that's going to work out, Antonio. We got Hop Chandler saying my picks for MMA this week are Hernandez. I love Hernandez. Ian Gary, I'm picking Ian Gary to win by decision. I got Hernandez by 3rd round submission. Cejudo, I've got Cejudo to win by decision. So what do I think? I think that those get the bam Uncle Weezy stamp of approval. I've got 1 unit on Cejudo's money line at plus 189, which I got on BetOnline Sportsbook yesterday. And then Cejudo, so Cejudo's Uncle Weezy's dog pick of the week this week. And then and Volk as well. I don't have money on Volk yet, but I'm picking him to win. I'm picking Gary to win by decision, and I'm picking Hernandez to win by 3rd round submission. So yeah, man, I think that those are all really good picks. And I think if those all hit for you, then I'm going to have a big week too, Hap. So let's hope that we both have a big week, man. We got Dan Nord saying veteran move, wrapping up V-Day early. You seem fresh and rested. Oh yes, we made dinner together. We went out earlier today, had a really nice day together. Just kind of enjoyed each other's company. We've been together for 17 years, so yeah, definitely been through more than a few of these, and we both had a really nice night tonight. It was lovely, Dan. Good to see you hanging out in here, brother. Let me know if you got any questions for your Uncle Weezy today. Let's see. We got T.O. Phillips saying, when do you think the UFC finally signs Dong Kong? Yeah, Han Dong Kong, a Chinese regional scene can, but does have some pretty good blonde hair that could maybe he's kind of got like this Patty Pimblett haircut, which surprisingly looks very similar, on a Chinese dude than it does to Patty. But either way, I don't know, man. And he is referring to those of you who are not initiated. If we're looking at the UFC 298 card and we look through some of the Chinese tomato cans that Min Yang Zhang has fought, we do have Han Dong Kong here, who's got a beautiful head of Patty Pimblett-esque blonde hair here. And are they going to sign Han Dong Kong? He's got some good wins. He's got a win over Shining Sun, who's 5-2. He's got a win over Jia Cheng Ling, who's 0-0, but he's a tough kid. 0-0, he's just getting started. Well, he's 0-1 now, but either way. Muhammad Sangov, 0-1 in Fight King International. We got Bak Tayor Abidov on the China Regional. We got Guvanch Charyev, 0-2, 0-0. A win over the 7-13 Yoon Sob Kwak. Sandeep Kumar Daya, 7-1 in Art of War 16. He won that one but via soccer kick. Wow. And then he's got a win over Agu Damu as well. And to me, that still means something. So, yeah, will we see Dong Kong get signed by the UFC? I mean, it's going to happen. The only question, T.O. Phillips, is when, we got Dan Nord saying Volk must be so improved after the last two losses. Should be best version of him unless he gets KO'd. Yeah, and he did just get KO'd, not that long ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But that those were completely different circumstances. Short notice, up a weight class, after elbow surgery in Abu Dhabi, all this stuff. So Volk has probably been here for a minute already, and he's used to having to go from Australia to different parts of the world to fight, and now he's coming all the way to the States here. It's going to be interesting, man. This is going to be a very, very high level fight. And Ilya Topuria, even if he loses this fight, this dude is still only 27 years old. I mean, like, for him to have come this far in this at this age, I mean, this guy is clearly a phenomenal talent in the featherweight division. So I just can't wait to see Topuria versus Volkanovski. This could potentially be a changing of the guard situation here. Topuria is that good. I'm still rolling with Volkanovski. I've got more of a sample size, and he's more well tested against guys that I know are top notch. So I think that he's going to get the job done and do what he always does, which is just fight the right fight for the right opponent. And let's see what he's got up his sleeve for Ilya Topuria. We got K-Dog saying, you see that video of Ilya wearing Volk's belt? Yes. If I had 1 ounce of Topuria's confidence, I would have had 7 different Valentines today. Yeah, dude. And that's the thing. Ilya has the confidence of an undefeated fighter. You guys, he's never tasted defeat. He's undefeated. Nobody's beaten him, right? He's been put in some bad spots. He was really tired in the 3rd round of the Zalal fight. He got head kicked in the Jai Herbert fight. He got head kicked in the Stephen Goncalves fight in Brave. He's been put in some bad spots, but he's persevered through them. He went 5 rounds with Josh Emmett and didn't eat that big right hand that has slept so many. We just saw recent evidence of that in brutal fashion recently. So, I mean, this guy can still crack. Dan Ige can still crack. Those guys have fought each other, I think. I mean, look, this is a hell of a fight, man. And Ilya Topuria is confident because he's undefeated. He hasn't been humbled yet. And, I wonder, when you're that confident, what happens, how you mentally react when you're, say, 10, 12 minutes into the fight and you can't get anything going. Volk's kind of just got your number and he's picking you apart, landing. And whenever you get a little bit sloppy and just try to blast in, he totally counters you and lands a big shot, and nothing you do is working, and you're not sure if there's a plan B, really. That's what's going to be interesting to see how Ilya, if Alexander is able to give him that adversity that he hasn't really seen yet. I mean, it's one thing to get head kicked by Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert can find moments in a lot of fights, but Alexander Volkanovski is the best. It's very hard to find big moments against Alexander Volkanovski. And if you don't, he continues to win the minutes while you're looking for that moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how that fight plays out. We got Dennis Kranovich saying, yeah, Weezy versus Charles Johnson, main event, UFC 300, book it. That'd be a great way to completely torpedo that card and just destroy it. Just give it no credibility whatsoever to have me, a 50-year-old man, trying to get down to 125 pounds. I'd look like Christian Bale in The Machinist. It would be absolutely horrible. We got Pravesh Sunawar in the room saying, hey, Uncle, hope you had a nice Valentine's Day, dude. It was really nice. Definitely really nice. Thank you for hanging out, Pravesh. I hope you had the same, man. I hope it was a lovely day for you too as well. Let me know if you got any questions. We got everybody's favorite Irishman in the room, Ian Gary, saying, oi, yes, I'm feeling good. My weight cut going swell. I can't wait to put on my yellow Venom shorts. God bless. God bless, Ian. I think Ian gets it done against Jeff. Like I say, man, what a phenomenal minute winner he's been at distance thus far. 7.48. Now, this is because he lands 6.67 and absorbs 3.58 significant strikes per minute. But it's so much more important, so much more predictive when we look at these distance striking numbers, because Jeff Neal spends 80% of his UFC cage time at distance striking range. And for Ian Gary, it's 81%. And both of these guys are attempting far less than the divisional average for takedowns. Jeff Neal only attempts 1.18, as we can see right there. Ian Gary less than 0.89. And Jeff Neal has always had phenomenal takedown defense. So Ian Gary's not going to waste time trying to take this dude down. 89%. He's only been taken on 3 times in 10 UFC fights and only been controlled for 6.35% of his UFC career. So I really see this fight taking place at distance. And I think Ian Gary is more busy. He's more accurate. But that 55% distance striking defense for Ian bothers me, because Jeff Neal's got a ton of power in his left hand, in both hands, really. And, he can't be getting hit flush by Jeff Neal, but that's going to be a hell of a fight. And Ian Gary better be wearing, it better be the green, white, and orange. Represent Ireland, my man. You're Ian Gary. So, yeah, but I think Ian Gary by decision. But, man, this might be the one where he actually gets the knockout. Even though we've never seen Jeff Neal get knocked out in the UFC, it could happen. Ian Gary's very precise, and when he lands flush, he's got a lot of power in his own right. We got David saying, I'm having some doubts Darlow puts Quinlan away in this one. Waters' fight was minus 110, under 1.5. And while the odds favor the over at minus 136, Quinlan seems very durable, and Barlow isn't that technical. I love Barlow's left hand, and what Barlow is precise when he throws it. But he's kind of low volume. And we saw that Quinlan was kind of low volume against Trey Waters, because it's just hard to find your way in when your opponent has that unusual length for the division. Now, Barlow's not as tall and as long as the previous opponent Waters was, but still, it's going to be hard to find the way in for Barlow as well, because Quinlan keeps that high boxing guard. He keeps that high Philly shell. He's pretty good about keeping his hands up as well. So Barlow's going to have to find those counters. But if Quinlan gets reckless, or if he gets sloppy trying to shoot in, Barlow's got some good knees and some good kicks from distance as well. So I think there's a number of different ways he can snipe them from the outside. But until I see Josh Quinlan go out there in a UFC fight and dominate with his wrestling, I'm just going to assume that he can't quite do it yet. And Barlow's a tall guy at 6'3", or how tall is he? He's not 6'3". I'm looking at Ian Gary. Ian Gary's 6'3". Let's see, Barlow. He's 6'2", so he's going to be a very difficult, tall, long guy to take down. They're very difficult to take down. They can find a base anywhere. So we'll see. We'll see if Quinlan can get this fight to the ground. But I think Barlow will do the better work at distance. I think he's going to be a lot more accurate, and I think he's going to land the bigger shots. Plus, if Quinlan attempts 8 takedowns again, although some looked half-assed, he's bound to get one, and Barlow looks like a minus on his back. Yeah, I agree. I definitely am worried about what happens if Quinlan is able to get Barlow down and get to dominant positions, because then Barlow is going to lose the minutes of this fight, and it's definitely possible that Quinlan can win with ground and pound, or just win with winning minutes and banking rounds by getting takedowns and piling up top control. There were, as far as the ass shaving of the week this week, I went with Barlow, because I think that if he wins this fight, he kind of wins it a lot like Trevin Giles got lost the last fight against Prates, because Prates is a guy who's not very high volume. He's patient, he's accurate, and he's a great counter striker. But, he needs his opponent to kind of open up those windows for him to land those big shots. And I don't know if Quinlan's going to do that, and I don't know if he's going to oblige him in the distance striking battle. And if he doesn't do that, and he proves for the first time, because look, he shot 8 takedowns. So who cares? He got less than a minute of control time in that fight. So it doesn't matter. He could shoot 20 takedowns. If nothing is becoming of them, or if you get one and you keep the guy down for 3 seconds and land no strikes on the ground, or none on the way up, or none on the way out of the clinch, then it doesn't matter. But it's about getting that control time, finding that dominant position. And when you do that, you can definitely win some minutes. So I think it's really interesting to see how we're going to find out a lot about Danny Barlow in this spot. But I do think he's going to find that shot at some point, because whether Quinlan is wrestling or whether he's trying to land that big shot, he's going to open up that opportunity at some point for Barlow to find that counter left. And it's accurate, it's powerful, and it's fast. So I'm looking forward to seeing this kid make his debut against a tough opponent in Josh Quinlan. And we got Ian Gary saying, why is Charles Johnson being a genitalia? He needs some medicine. No, I think Charles Johnson's fine. What he needs is a haircut. Everything else, and it's none of my business either. Like, that guy can cut his hair however the hell he wants. But you know what? He's got the right to cut his hair any way that he wants. And I've got the right to say, I don't like it. I don't like the skullet, especially when you dye it different colors, man. I don't know, Ian. I don't know. I mean, like, now, Ian Gary, there's a haircut you could set your watch to. There's a clean cut, young family man, hard worker in the gym who's going out there and outstriking his opponents regularly. You could learn something from him, Charles. You're a great striker, too. You could be a great striker with a great haircut, but right now you're a great striker with a bad haircut. Just cut the damn hair. That's all he needs. He just needs a haircut. That's it. That's my opinion. And I'm entitled to it, right? I'm entitled to my opinion. And he's entitled to say his Uncle Weezy sucks. And that's fine too. He's entitled to hate me for my opinion on his haircut. I can't tell him any different than that. I don't get to tell that dude what to do. We got my guy Kyle Marley in the room saying, Uncle Weezy GOAT. What's up, Kyle? Always good to see you checking in, my man. One of the DFS kings in this business. Check it out on the Ship It podcast. Good to see you hanging out in here, brother. Let your Uncle Weezy know if you got any data-based questions for DFS this week. We got Dan Nord saying CJ just lost me tons versus Odie. Fuck him in his brutal haircut so he can wear a hat and look like Ice Cube. Ice Cube, one of my favorite rappers of all time, definitely. But yeah, dude, I don't like the haircut, but he's got, it's the skullet. It is what it is, man. A skullet. Yeah. We got Yes Freak in the room saying Sigma Chi, Chicago, Weezy. All three are correct. I am a member of the Sigma Chi fraternity. I am born and raised in Chicago, and my friends call me Weezy. What's up, Yes Freak? Checking in from Scottsdale, Arizona. Good to see you hanging out in here. We got Awesomeo in the room saying everyone shits on Charles Johnson. Even his BFF Narco, you should have heard him in his live spaces during the Esteban and Durden fight. No love. I'm just shitting on the dude's haircut. That's it. And I mean, it's like everything else, is opinions and stuff like that, and my opinion about his haircut is just an opinion too, man. It's just I don't know, man. Yeah, dude, like what, and I bet on him in that Esteban fight. He couldn't stop those takedowns in the first and second round, and he had a great third round, and Esteban was dead tired, but he just doesn't have that one punch power. He couldn't get him out of there and cash that bet for me. But it is what it is, man. We move on to the next one. I thought that was going to be a good spot for him at plus money. I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. Awesomeo, thanks for checking in, my man. Really appreciate you hanging out in here. We got Hap Chandler in the room saying Neil is in my top 5 favorite fighters. Hope he beats Gary, but I don't see it. Bad guys usually win. Shaking my head. Yeah, man. Well, Gary, people don't like Ian Gary, but he's a phenomenal fighter, and he's a precise striker. So, we got to give him his flowers and his laurels for that, because what he does in the cage when it's time for business, the guy is very, very difficult because of his height, because of his length, because of his speed, and because of the way that he puts his strikes together. He's a very difficult opponent to deal with. We got Awesomeo saying, when is your dad fighting at Hap? And we got Hap saying, Awesomeo, I ran away. I'm trying to get kinder with Tommy. So yeah, Michael Chandler, we're going to see if he ever gets that fight against Conor McGregor. I never thought Conor was coming back. I was really surprised when like they announced, he's going to fight Michael Chandler at the end of the year, all that stuff. I was like, wow, Conor coming back to fight? Like, what is this going to be? He's not going to cut weight. This guy's not going to train. He's a billionaire, for Christ's sake. He doesn't need to do this shit. So yeah, getting Conor to adopt you, man. I mean, like, you'd get you'd be rich, and you get some good drugs. And I'm sure that there'd be a lot of fun. There'd probably be a lot of weird moments too. But I mean, not the worst situation there. Let's see. Yacht has Jim. I hope Conor adopts you. We got Hap Chandler saying, respect Weezy. A lot of people don't see the vision with the Cejudo pick, but I see it, man. Yeah, dude, he's a phenomenal wrestler. And I think what makes Merab is that when he mixes in the wrestling, which he does constantly, I think it's like 18 takedown attempts per 15 minutes, that when you mix in the wrestling, whether or not it's successful, you could go 2 for 18 on your takedowns, but you're the one shooting the takedowns. You're the one being offensive while you're doing that. And you just cause your opponent to defend. They don't ever get to play any offense because they're just constantly defending the takedowns. And then once you've shot that many takedowns, everything that you're doing on the feet is so much more likely to succeed, because people are worried more about the takedowns than they are about the striking. And then all of a sudden he's coming forward, landing combinations and landing 10 strikes over a little 15-second period. And, and then right when you start, oh my God, I got to respect the striking, then he ducks under and he takes you down. And then now you can't breathe. You're tired. The guy's just putting that pace on you. Merab is that guest that never leaves, that bug that never fucks off. I mean, it's just, it's like the snake that just kind of gets around you and then just slowly starts squeezing. And then before you know it, you can't breathe anymore and you can't move. He's just taken your body's ability to be able to respond to the signals from the brain saying, do this. The body just says, I can't, I'm done. So yeah, picking against Dvalishvili, it's a difficult thing. But when you see things in the tape and you're getting big plus money, and your gut is telling you, dude, I don't know if he can win minutes in the wrestling against Henry Cejudo. And if he can't do that, how can Henry come up with a game plan off of that in order to land the bigger strikes at distance? And he just had a really close fight against Aljamain Sterling, a guy that's a much more dangerous grappler and a guy that you have to respect the takedown so much more in terms of you cannot let that dude get to your back. He didn't get to Henry's back once over those 5 rounds, over 25 minutes, 12 takedown attempts. I think he got 5 of them. And Henry got 4 takedowns, but it was still Henry who got more control time than Aljo. So I mean, if he can out grapple and well, not out grapple, but he won the control time battle. But if he can stay safe from Aljo's wrestling and not let that dude get to your back and not let him control you for long periods of time on the ground, I think that he can not only do that against a quality wrestler like Merab, but also maybe be the one that wins the minutes there. We got Hap saying, thanks, bro. We got Osmo saying, Unc, what's your prediction for the UFC 300 main event? So like the main event, right? Like, I don't think it's going to be something like Leon versus Bilal or like, like it couldn't even be Drickus. I don't think he'd be ready by then against whoever. Drickus Adesanya. It feels like they kind of got to do something that nobody's expecting. Like I saw somebody on Twitter mention Brock Lesnar, and I'm like, dude, I could see something like that. Brock Lesnar against somebody, because it would just get people talking, and frankly, I'd be like, whoa, Brock Lesnar, no way, it would be wild. So my prediction is that it's going to be something that maybe is not a current title fight in the UFC, but something that would just be like something that would move the PR meter, maybe get people outside of the UFC that are not the everyday degenerate fans to say, oh, I want to see that. And for them, that's not, Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. It's not, Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo's number 14, the reckoning. It's not that. It's going to be something. It's like maybe there's a crossover star there, something that's a little bit different. That's what my prediction is, but we'll see how this goes. We got the Cuban Assassin saying Dong Kong looks like the golfer John Daly. Where's it's the Chinese John Daly. John Daly with his 6-pack. I love it. Oh, Cuban Assassin, I appreciate you. Oh my God. We got Moyes in the room who clipped me on the Couch Warriors podcast doing ass analysis in terms of how it relates to takedown defense, talking about the ass, a gigantic ass as a counterbalance to being taken down. Always good to see my guy Moyes in here, and he is saying Sakujo because he likes Cejudo as his dog of the week. And if you want a vicious killer dog that's foaming at the mouth, who better than Henry Cejudo, ladies and gentlemen. Moyes, always good to see you hanging out in here, man. We got K-Dog in the room saying Merab versus Hendry deserves to be the featured bout, not Gary versus Neal. I tend to agree with you about that. But I think right now, Gary's like that big name, and he is like a win over Jeff Neal. Like it starts to enter him into the conversation for, hey, this guy might be a win or two away from a title shot. So I think that, they want to get Ian Gary up on that card to let people know that even if he doesn't win dominantly, that like, hey, this guy's a pay-per-view attraction. This guy's on the way up that ladder, and he's really proving himself to be somebody that could potentially be wearing gold around his waist sometime in the near future. So, yeah, I see why they're doing that because, Henry is getting kind of old, and it's just weird, like, with Merab saying that he didn't want to fight Aljo, that seemed to piss off Dana White, and now it seems like they're kind of putting Merab a little bit on the back burner, and that's something you can do in the bantamweight division if you have a grudge against somebody, because Merab is definitely deserving of a title shot here. But he's been away for a minute, and it's going to be interesting to see how this Cejudo fight, plays out, because he was unable to take down uh Aldo. He only got John Dodson down twice. These are guys with, notoriously good takedown defense. So, and I think Cejudo is going to be a very similar problem for him. Man, it's going to be an interesting one. I can't wait for this card. It's such a great card. We got Teretea Paku saying, what are you seeing in the Tafa versus Lima fight in terms of value? I'm thinking it's possible that Tafa finds the chin and early. Best betting money line, KO prop, or first round Tafa at plus 320. Yeah, for me, value usually means it's coming on the underdog. And when you got a heavyweight fight where you got De Lima, tons of power, Tafa, tons of power, that brings a lot of variance into the equation. So the value is going to really be on whatever the underdog's best win condition is. And if we get Han Dong Kong's picture off, now look, I'm keeping it on there as long as possible, just because this YouTube game is about ratings, and you want people coming to your show, you want those numbers to go up. You put a handsome face with a beautiful head of hair like that on your screen, and you watch the numbers come. But we've got to talk here about Tafa. If we look at how he's winning fights, right? Win against Austin Lane, first round. Win against Parker Porter, first round. Win against Hunsucker, first round. Win against Juan Adams, first round. Taumapo, second round. Jeremy Joyner, first round. Dylan Tialiaga, second round. So this guy has finished 5 of his 7 fights in the first round, and the second round 30 seconds in XFC here on this one, and 3.5 minutes into the second round here in his pro debut back in 2017. So this guy's win condition is knocking you out early. So yeah, maybe Tafa first round KO, maybe Tafa 1-2 KO. That would probably be the best value that you're going to get, because he's going to be the underdog, and because that's the way he tends to win fights. That would be the best way to bet that one, Teretea. I think that's some pretty good value there. We got Victor De Jesus saying, "Oi, yes, what's up, Weezy in chat? Looking forward to a great weekend of tickets stacked like flapjacks." Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to it too. This is a great card, not just from a fan perspective, but I've got some good bets already going here, and I'm going to cook up a few more in the kitchen later on tomorrow, I think, for the Patreon people. And we're going to get some units in play on this card, and there's some spots that are definitely sticking out. Vic, let me know if you got any other questions. Always good to see you checking in from Grand Rapids, Michigan. We got my guy Go Flamingo checking in here saying, yo, what's up, Hunk? Can you help me fill out a 4-legger with some safe bets? I've got Volk 4-5 decision. I like that. The Whitaker cost of fight goes to decision. Thoughts and suggestions. All right, so here's one that I was looking at. We go to the prop template here, and we go to the Hernandez Kopylov fight. I think a nice wide line that's got a nice plus EV structure to the bet is minus 275 for fight starts round 2 for Hernandez versus Kopylov. 7 fights for Anthony Hernandez in the UFC. 6 of those 7 fights have started round 2. All 6 of Kopylov's fights have started round 2. And even on the regional scene for Kopylov, 5 of his 6 fights had started round 2. So Kopylov's a guy who's very durable, and he's not going to get drowned by the grappling early in this fight. It'll probably come in the second or the third if it does. And Roman Kopylov has never knocked anybody out in round number 1, I don't think. I think the only fight that ever didn't start round 2 was maybe and I might be thinking about Armen Petrosyan here, but I know one of those 2 guys got knocked out in Russia by an Arab dude, Hassan Yousefi, I think. Got either Kopylov or Petrosyan by first round knockout, but either way, the fight starts round 2 at around minus 275, is only overpriced 1% according to the benchmark for the division, but we got a 92% combined fight starts round 2 rate over a 13 fight sample size of UFC competition. So I like that fight starts round 2 bet. And I also saw that if you think that a fight doesn't go to decision is a good spot, 6 of 7 Aaron or Anthony Hernandez. I keep trying to call him Aaron Hernandez. Anthony Hernandez, 6 of 7 fights finish inside the distance in the UFC, and for Kopylov, it's 5 of 6. So I really do think that either fight doesn't go to decision or fight starts round 2. Both of those, I think, cash here. I think this fight ends in round 2 or 3 when it does end. So those are 2 spots that I like. And let's go to Bet Online here. What do I think is safe? Oh, you know what I think is fairly safe here is the Cejudo Dvalishvili fight goes to decision, or the over 2.5 rounds for that fight. I think that that's reasonably priced. I think that that's a safe bet. I like Nakamura to win. Sorry. I tried to keep a straight face. I do like Nakamura to win, but yeah, it's minus 1200. That's, a little too safe. But yeah, go the over in the Cejudo Dvalishvili fight, and then whatever you like better. Either the fight starts round 2 for Hernandez versus Kopylov, or the fight doesn't go to decision for Kopylov versus Hernandez. Those would be the spots that I would do. Mohammed Hassan is in the room saying, thoughts on the MMA guru coming out as homosexual? I don't know anything about that. I didn't hear that. I don't even think that that's particularly true. So don't care. I mean, that whatever that guy does with his sex life is none of my goddamn business, nor could I care. We got Prince of Mischief in the room saying Topuria has next level confidence. Yes, he absolutely does. 2 months ago, he changed his IG profile pic with him holding the title. B, he changed his IG description to world champion. C, he's producing a movie about himself. Hey, man, like I said, he's undefeated. He doesn't know what it's like to taste defeat. And that's a double-edged sword. I mean, I think it's a very good thing, to have that kind of supreme self-confidence. I think in order to thrive doing what he does for a living, having self-doubt cannot be a good thing in this sport. I mean, that self-doubt starts to creep in. There's no other team members there to pick you up when you're not feeling 100%. It's all on you in that cage. So, yeah, man, I think that confidence is a very good thing. But I just, when you have that kind of confidence and then things don't start to go your way, it might mean that you didn't foresee it and that you don't have a plan B or a plan C. And, Alexander Volkanovski is the type of well-rounded, well-tested, well-conditioned fighter that can bring that doubt out of the most confident fighter with his surgical style to the way that he fights. I mean, it's really impressive to watch. We got Suzanne in the room saying, people keep talking about how Lemos did against Hill. Let's talk about each girl did against Marina Rodriguez. Yeah, Lemos did a lot better against Marina Rodriguez. Now Dern did get her in a couple of bad spots. I don't know if it was the first round or the second round, and then I think in the fourth round she got her in a bad spot. But outside of those, being able to get that fight to the ground, Marina did a really good job with her defensive jiu-jitsu in that fight, not getting subbed. And Lemos has next level power. I don't think there's a strawweight alive that has more power than Amanda Lemos does. So it's a great striker versus grappler stylistic matchup, even though they're obviously both well-rounded fighters. Mackenzie Dern's striking is starting to come along. It's starting to become more of a well-rounded mixed martial arts skill set for her. But it's still her grappling that's obviously the most dangerous part of her MMA skill set. And then you got Lemos, who's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu player in her own right. But man, when she's on the feet and landing those hands, that's when she's absolutely at her most dangerous. So yeah, it's a fascinating fight. I've got the decision only for Dern because I kind of feel like if Lemos has her way in this fight, she's going to knock Mackenzie Dern out. But I feel like if this goes the full 15, it probably means Dern did get this fight to the ground in 2 out of the 3 rounds. And if she does that, I think she's going to win those rounds and win the decision. So yeah, that's a good fight, and it's on the prelims of this card. That's how stacked this card is. And if Darian Weeks can take Ian down, why can't Neil mix it in? Neil doesn't mix it in here, Suzanne. That's what the problem is. If Jeff Neal was a fighter that we saw going to the wrestling in a lot of his fights, then I would say, yeah, then it's a possibility, because Ian Gary stopping 9 of 13 takedowns. Yeah, he's been taken down almost one time per 15 minutes. Weeks did get him down. But Jeff Neal has only attempted 9 takedowns in 10 UFC fights. So, that's a very, very small amount. That's 2.59 less than the divisional average at 1.18 takedown attempts per 15 minutes. And he's gotten 4 of them. So yeah, he's getting about a half takedown per 15 minutes. So he might mix it in, but this guy is not winning a ton of minutes with that part of his game. But where that could really help, Suzanne, is if you've got that really good fight IQ and you're 4 minutes and 30 seconds into a round where man, I've gotten him good twice, he's gotten me good twice, and we've been landing. Let me get a takedown in the last 30 seconds of this round and seal the round, finish the round on top. Leave that as the last memory in the judges' minds about this round. That's when we could see Neil mix it in at the end of one of these rounds to bank a close round. Or Gary, because Gary has shot 4 takedowns. He's just about as busy shooting takedowns at 0.89 per 15 minutes as Neil is at 1.18. So they both could probably potentially try to mix it in, but it's definitely Jeff Neal that has the better takedown defense. Ian has short reach for his height. I mean, yeah, I suppose if Jeff Neal's at 75 at 5'11 and Gary's at 74 for 6'3", yeah, we've seen some 6'3". Like, for instance, Barlow is 6'2" and he's got a 79-inch reach. Brenson Hibero is like 6 foot. I think he's got a 79-inch or 78-inch reach, maybe. Brenson Hibero is 6'3" with an 81-inch reach. Yeah, so I guess he does kind of, but he doesn't look like he has a short reach. He looks like a long dude, Ian Gary. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I guess you might be right about that. We got Prince of Mischief saying Dern hasn't showed improvements. She's a lost cause. She's not Instagram regularly making stories and posting. She's not serious. Yeah, I've heard people say that about her. And this is a sport where if you're not taking it seriously, there could be grave consequences inside the cage when you're fighting somebody that is taking it seriously. Left hand of dead guy on stick. Let's go. How about just left hand of God? Come on. What's up, Daz Files? Always good to see you hanging out in here, man. We got real fight picks saying Quinlan Live versus Barlow. Besides Barlow's left hand, I don't see anything special. Yeah, that's true, but he's got really good striking. T.O. Phillips saying, is there a more unlikable fighter in the UFC than Ian Gary? He reminds me of a Weasley Darren Till. I mean, like, Ian Gary's saying a lot of shit that's making people dislike him. That's for sure. Having that, being that guy that like loves to dish it out, but then when it comes back at you, you get all butthurt about it. There's definitely some things that are pissing people off about Gary. But you know what? It's a double-edged sword, because in a way, what he's doing could be genius, because he's just getting people to talk about him. And at the end of the day, when people are talking about you, you make a splash. You become a bigger star. And whether people love you or hate you, they're talking about you. And people are talking about Ian Gary. And yeah, you can talk about, the relationship that he has with his wife. You could talk about him putting the Brazilian flag next to his name because he's training in Brazil right now. You could talk about him taking his wife's name, Machado, putting it in between Ian and Gary. Talk about all that stuff. But when we talk about the in the cage stuff, this kid's getting the job done. And the grappling defense, he showed that off a lot when in Cage Warriors on the regional scene. So he's got some really good anti-grappling as well. I mean, like, this kid is going to be here to stay. And I think he's going to be winning fights for a very long time to come. And he's still very young. We got Real Fight Pick saying, yeah, for sure. Anything special. We got Rousus in the room saying, Oi, Weezy, what are your thoughts on the decision only for Volk at minus 170? It's not too far off from the money line, and it could cover Ilya KO if Volk is somehow on a decline. Don't see Volk finishing. Yeah, that's not a bad look. I don't mind that because, Ilya has never proven to be the better minute winner at distance. And winning minutes against Josh Emmett is virtually meaningless because Josh Emmett's never been a minute winner. Josh Emmett is a dude who knocks you senseless. You wake up, like a day later in a hospital with your loved ones around you, and they got candles and they're singing songs and praying to Jah to bring you back from whatever land of wind and ghosts you got banished to when that dude hit you. So I kind of like that look. I think it's a fairly safe look. You don't have to worry about a Topuria submission or knockout. You just have to worry about Topuria outclassing Alexander the Great Volkanovski over a 25-minute fight. Does he have the tools to do that without finding a moment? I don't know, man. Minus 170 is not bad, Rosses. I think that's a pretty good look. I don't know if I'll get there myself. I think I'll just bet the money line at a cheaper price, but still, man, that one's going to be interesting. I don't mind that. Gogo saying, what's up, the Prince of Mischief? True. Dern's career has been circling the drain since she got rid of Jason Perillo. I think her boyfriend coaches her now, and the regression is obvious. Yeah, that's not good. Oh my God. Thoughts on Merab calling out Frankie Saenz? Yeah, dude, I think that's a great call, Muhammad Hassan. That if he could get the Saenz fight made after a Henry Cejudo win, man, if he beats a 47-year-old Frankie Saenz, you try to keep him away from the title, Muhammad. So yeah, I think that's a great look there. I think that Merab, the great idea there to call out a guy that's already beaten you for sure. We got Morphatrix in the room saying, "What's up, Weezy? What's going on, man? Good to see you hanging out in here." We got Chief Keef in the room saying, "What's your best bet, Weezy?" Best bet this week of the stuff that I've got already. So I've got Henry Cejudo plus 189 for 1 unit. I've got Brenson Hibero plus 124 for 1 unit, but that line is gone. That line is right around plus 100 or even minus 105 right now. I got the under 1.5 for Barlow versus Quinlan at plus 145. That is a 1.5 unit bet. That's one of my favorite bets, but because of the price, and that price is not there right now, so I don't like. I would say it's the Cejudo bet at this point. Stylistically, I think Henry could be just a really bad matchup for Dvalishvili. Really bad matchup because while Jose Aldo and John Dodson have phenomenal takedown defense, what they are not is great offensive wrestlers. Now with Henry Cejudo, you got somebody that is an Olympic gold medal freestyle wrestler. So not only is his anti-grappling top-notch and elite, his ability to be able to get takedowns and win minutes on the ground is also elite. And I think it's going to take Merab to a type of fight that he's not entirely comfortable fighting. And I think at plus 189, it's a bet that is a nice plus money number. And you don't have to bet as much to win a little bit more. And I think that people are going to be really surprised about how that fight plays out on Saturday. So I would say the Henry Cejudo money line as your Uncle Weezy's dog of the week. Prince of Mischief saying to Gogo, I heard that Perillo shut down RVCA on the Bisping podcast, and everyone went their separate ways. Cheeto, Rockhold, Dern, etc. Yeah, boyfriend as a coach is a red flag for sure. If DeLima wins, do you lean decision or submission? My pick is DeLima by decision, actually. I think that he's going to fight a smart fight. I think he's going to wrestle and clinch up, kind of try to wear out Justin early, and then, continue to wrestle get that fat ass on top of Tafa, because Tafa's a big dude. He's gonna be very hard to take down. But when you're that big, getting up is the hard part. Keeping other people from taking you down when you're that strong, as Justin Tafa is, who's built like a bowling ball. I mean, like, you can't take down a bowling ball, right? It's already down. And that's how Tafa is shaped. So it's really hard to take dudes like that down. But once you get them down, they're not getting up. Not with an ass that size. I think that if DeLima wins, he's going to win it by decision. And I think that if Tafa wins, he's going to find an early shot, first round, maybe second round. We got Gogo saying, Prince of Mischief, seriously, Cheeto's not going to have Perillo in his corner. Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought I heard that Cheeto was someplace else. I mean, well, he's always over at Team Oyama as well. Cheeto's always been training over there, but I know that he's had Perillo in his corner for a lot of his fights recently. We got Shojo in the room saying Charles Johnson got way better with his takedown defense, but yeah, that patch on the back of his head is gross. It is. But congratulations to CJ on a phenomenal effort against Azat Maksum. He got caught. He got put in a deep submission, and he showed some heart. He showed some good submission defense and some durability there. And he's always had the great conditioning. He's always had the ability to get better as the fight goes on. So to withstand that in the first round, get almost 10-8'd, and come back and win those second rounds, it's an impressive comeback. We got Gogo saying, I don't like that for him at all. Yeah, man, that's going to be interesting. If Perillo's not coaching him, how is he going to perform against Sean O'Malley? We got Morphatrix saying, Rindium Nakamura, -175 to win inside the distance. Is it just me, or is that wildly good parlay value? I think it's pretty good, but it's all I hate laying juice on inside the distance props. I just hate it, because you never know when a fighter is going to be so much better than somebody that it's easier for them to just cruise for 15 minutes than it is for them to actually take the chance of finishing and maybe giving up position, because it's so easy to just take the person down and hold them down and beat them up for a while, that you would rather do that rather than finish the fight, because it's a safer win for you. So that's what worries me about laying juice on that. But Carlos Vera has been subbed in 2 of his 3 losses, and he does show the ability to kind of give up his back. And if he does that to Nakamura, I think he's going to be choked out. So, yeah, I think it's a good bet, man. -175 for that kid inside the distance. Not bad. Parlay piece, small parlay, that would get my endorsement. And Gogo, I just checked Cheeto's Instagram. It looks like the gym RVCA is closed, but Perillo is still coaching. I think he only focuses on coaching only. Not sure why Dern didn't keep him in the payroll. Who knows, man? It'd be interesting to see how Dern looks then. We got B next to Reckoning. It's going to be Moreno Figueredo 14, the Reckoning. Thank you, B-Nix. Appreciate that. Prince of Mischief's asking who you got between O'Malley, Cheeto, and how does it go down, you think? We got Prince of Mischief saying, honestly, I think Dern just wants to be comfortable, and being an MMA fighter is not top priority. He's been here for 7+ years, no improvement. K-Dog saying, Izzy versus DDP and Leon Edwards added on 300 means 4 title fights. Never been done before. Yeah, that could be interesting. Could be historic enough for UFC 300. 4 title fights. That would be wild. That'd be a really long pay-per-view. Think about that. That could be, like a 3.5-hour pay-per-view. That would be wild, man. More of a trick saying the best thing they could do with UFC 300 is split welterweight into 165 and 175. Conor versus Chandler, inaugural 165. Bilal versus Leon 175, but I saw a comment saying that the UFC would have to restructure contracts. Yeah, and I don't think they want to do that. You write those contracts for a reason, and they're always written to favor your business plan and your vision. And if you change that up, you're going to let some of these guys out of a contract that was favorable to you, and then you give them the ability to be able to renegotiate. And that's never in the people's interest, in the boss's interest, it would seem. We got Sammy Malcolm in the room saying, "Oi, what's up, Sammy?" We got Prince of Mischief saying that go. I think Cheeto. He's durable. He's got cardio. He makes good reads as the fight goes on, and he knows how to exploit Sean's weakness, the ankle leg kicks galore. Yeah, that's going to be a great fight. Can't wait. And he's asking Gogo who he's got. We got Ben Ryder saying, "Who's your best underdog money line fighter pick?" It's Hendry Cejudo, Ben Ryder. I'm going with Cejudo here to stop the takedowns and win 2 out of these 3 rounds against Marab, and get that decision win and cash a plus 189 ticket for me. We got Cheeky Elbow saying at Tabor Paku, got Tafa KO 1 375. That's a good line. We got Artem MMA. What's up, Artem? Good to see you hanging out in here saying, Weezy, what's up, dude? Artem MMA does some really good work on YouTube that you should absolutely check out. Good to see Artem hanging out in here. We got UFC 300 main event prediction. Izzy versus DDP, says Prince of Mischief. Yeah, that could be it. They already had a little bit of beef going, so that could be a good one. We got Artem saying Leon versus Bilal Komay. That could be a good one too, man. I want to see Bilal get that shot versus Leon. I definitely want to see that. I'll be rooting for Bilal. Oh my God, will I be rooting for Bilal? Leon versus Bilal. And Bilal's on the prelim headliner. I disagree with that. They are 2 very, very talented fighters, but I'd really love to see Bilal get that win. We got Artem saying featured fight then. Laughing my ass off. I like it, man. We got Prince of Mischief saying 57 viewers and only 15 likes. Come on, guys. Smash the like button. Appreciate that, Prince of Mischief. Yeah, hit that like. Hit that subscribe. Leave me a comment down below. If you have any questions for me, you can leave them down in the comments down below too, and I'll get back to you. But yeah, appreciate all you guys for hanging out live here on a Valentine's Day evening with your Uncle Weezy. We got Benino saying, what do you think about this round robin? Rinya submission at plus 215, Barlow KO plus 105, Fluffy inside the distance at minus 110. Also, our round robin, the unders in the Rinya, Barlow, and Fluffy fights. I like those, man. I like those, but not the under 1.5 in the Fluffy fight. I would go fight doesn't go to decision in the Fluffy fight because Fluffy's a pace guy. So he breaks you with pace, and that takes a while to do. And Kopylov doesn't really have any first round finishes, I don't think, in his career. So I would go round 2, round 3 for the Fluffy fight to finish because I think that's the most likely rounds that it happens. But yeah, I like Barlow KO because I've got him as the ass shaving of the week. And I think Rinya by submission has a lot more value than the KO prop, especially at the current prices between the two, because Vera's only lost by submission when he's been finished. Brandon Olson is in the room saying, hey, Unc, thoughts on this 3-legger I put in just for value? Val Woodburn's money line at plus 210, Nakamura versus Miguel under 1.5, and Kopilov's money line at plus 140 for plus 1,200. Yeah, man, I think that there's, like Woodburn, I don't know much about this dude, but Oban Elliott's a solid, well-rounded fighter who's just not spectacular anywhere yet, So he's not this guy that you say like, wow, we got to worry, man, because if Oban takes you down, you're going to get submitted immediately afterwards. It's just not how it works. So I think Woodburn has got some value at that big plus money number. And then Nakamura versus Miguel under 1.5. Like Nakamura comes out swinging like Yosemite Sam. I love that. And then he also can get a submission as well. And then we got Kopylov at plus money, I think is not a bad look either because Hernandez's money line is getting crazy. It's like a minus 240, minus 250 now. And I know that he's a phenomenal fighter. I max bet him last time out against Shabazian. So, nobody's a bigger Fluffy fan than me, but at this price, I just can't get to it right now. Best plus 3.5 point bets, in my opinion, from K-Dog. Let's see here. Huh. Oh yeah, Cejudo at minus 145. Dude, Bet Online had it at minus 190 or minus 195. Cejudo can win a round of this fight, so that would be my favorite one. It's minus 170. Oh no, that's wins. Goes the distance. No action. No, we want plus 3.5 is minus 190 on Bet Online, and on DraftKings, it's only minus 145. So that would definitely be the one that I would like to play. Is the plus 3.5 points handicap for Henry Cejudo would be my best one that I would play. That would be probably the only one that I would play. Yeah. Of the ones that are still available. Yeah. That's what I would go with for sure. Plus 3.5, Henry Cejudo. Great bet. Gogo Flamingo saying the only way I see Cheeto winning is, like you said, destroying the ankle leg. Maybe O'Malley gasses in the later rounds. Skill, speed, feints, footwork. Cheeto can't hang. It's going to be a great fight, man. Cheeto is a guy who hits so hard, though, and he has the ability to kind of start slow, make the reads, and then find his way in. And since O'Malley's not this one punch murderous power puncher, I think Cheeto is going to be able to find his way in and maybe find some big shots. It's going to be an interesting fight. Morphatrick saying Mackenzie Dern visibly winced when talking about finding out Lemos was the opponent offered to her. That's not a great look, especially with her on short notice. Yikes. That's not good to see, man. You don't want to be like Lemos. Oh God, I don't want to fight Lemos. You don't want to hear that. That's pretty scary. Kyle Kelly saying, "What up, Unc? I have a long shot parlay going from last weekend's fights. My final two legs are Marab and Topuria. Pays out 12,500, and they're offering me 6,800. Do I cash out or let it ride or hedge?" So I'm picking Henry Cejudo to win, and I'm picking Volkanovski to win. But there's obviously excellent cases to be made for why Marab wins and why Topuria wins. So, man, 6,800. Kyle, what was the original investment? That's what I would ask. Because what you can do is you could take that 6,800 that they're offering you, take it, put it in your bank, and then make some big ass bets on Marab and Topuria, but make them maybe 500 or 1,000. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to. You can take the money that they're offering you right now and get it. And here's the other thing. Wherever these guys are on the money lines right now, right at right now, Merab Dvalishvili is about minus 220. So we'll call that a 69% implied probability. So 0.69. And then you got Topuria, who's at about a plus 105. So we'll call that a 49% implied probability times 0.49. So according to the betting markets, right, there's a 33.8% chance if you take the implied win probability of the Marab line and the Topuria line. That's how you get paid out 12,500. Right now, they're offering you 6,800. Now, really, you've still, just by, like I said, the implied win probabilities, you got about a 34% chance of getting that 12,500. So I'm the kind of guy that would probably cash out. You know, that money would help me out a lot. So like if I had that kind of money, I would probably rather have 6,800 today than a 33% chance of 12,500 tomorrow. So that's the way I would do it, Kyle. And plus I'm on the other side of both of those picks. But man, I mean, like I'd cash out and make some big bets on those fights. Maybe parlay them. You could even do like a Marab Topuria parlay for 1,000 and make like half of the money that you would have made had you just had they actually cashed anyway, you know, while only taking like 1,000 of that 6,800 to make that bet. We got Sammy Malcolm saying, hey, Charles Johnson made me money. But some respect to my guy. Haha. He can have any haircut he wants as long as he cashes. Yeah, well, I mean, like, not only do I not like his haircut, Sammy, but like whether I bet on Charles or against him, it goes tits up. So yeah, I mean, like, he's not making me any money. He's only costing me money. So like, you know, I'm not worried about that for on my end. But yeah, I mean, that haircut is terrible. But yeah, he can have any haircut he wants. He's a grown man. Nobody gets to tell him how he gets to cut his hair. I just get to, I get to say that I think it's terrible though. Andrew Witzak saying Roman Kopilov being the B, being the what? We got Gogo Flamingo saying, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I know Cheeto is as tough as they come, but with how slow he starts, I don't hate O'Malley KO1 if I can get a juicy price. Dude, nobody's knocking out Marlon Vera. They don't let you bring a cage in, or they don't let you bring a shovel into the cage. They don't let you put the stinger on your glove, which is the barbed wire. They don't let you do that anymore. So if you're not doing that to Marlon Vera, you're not getting him out of there. Nobody's finishing Marlon Vera. Ben Ryder saying, who's the biggest fraud on this week's card? The two, God. I mean, can we call Carlos Vera a fraud? I mean, he's a 36-year-old journeyman bantamweight, so I don't even think that that's fair. Zhang Minyang is still only 25 years old, so the fact that he's lost to a fraud in Askar Mazarov is not the worst thing in the world, because Askar's a powerful kickboxer. So, who is the biggest fraud? It might be Paulo Costa at this point. Paulo Costa might be like a fraud in the sense that he's on the UFC roster, but he's not showing up to fight. So he's not really like a fighter. He's just a guy that's on the roster that's supposed to be able to fight, but then seems to have a lot of excuses once we get close to fight time. So that could be a potential fraud here. Quinlan could be a fraud. Now that he's off the gas, he could be a fraud. He did not look good in the Trey Waters fight. That could be a fraud. So I think that's one of the reasons why I felt safe enough to pick Barlow this week, was because I thought that, Quinlan might never look like the guy that we saw knocking people out when he was gassed up. We got Kiwi Brew in the room saying, sure, what's up, dude? At GoGo, Sean KO1 is going to shock me. These next few pay-per-views are stacked, and I'm so excited. We got GoGo saying, sure, to Kiwi saying to GoGo. We got it's a long shot, but Cheeto is very hittable. Remember, Tom Cruise and Frankie Edgar were outpointing him until they got caught. If O'Malley is landing on him like that, we got Daz Files saying sure to Kiwi saying sure to Daz. Go saying that Kiwi, what's up, man? I've been chatting with Prince of Mischief about O'Malley versus Cheeto. Who you got? We got Brendan Mitchell saying, is Nakamura going to finish this dude? I think he does. I think he finishes him, and I think he finishes him by submission. So that fatter submission prop than the KO prop, I think, is an interesting way to look at this one this week. Prince of Mischief saying it's going to be a great fight. The variations of how that fight could end makes it so interesting. Kiwi Brew saying this is a really hard fight. Maybe O'Malley. I think it goes to decision. We got Daz Files saying Nakamura sub is plus 300. It's not bad. 5 rounds favors Cheeto. Yeah, that dude is he's a difficult guy to deal with over that long. K Peanut saying, if you ask me, Cheeto is the Josh Emmett of bantamweight. He's not as good as he seems, and I think Sean smokes him. Well, Sean's the champion, so he could make it look easy. Weezy, glad to see someone making content who doesn't hate Bilal. He gets way too much of it. Yeah, man, I'm not a Bilal hater by any stretch of the imagination. That dude is such a smart fighter. I mean, as a gambler, you love betting on fighters like Bilal Muhammad. He does what he's supposed to do. He's ready to fight. Every time he's in the cage, he's ready. He put the work in. He watched tape. He's going to be in condition. He's not going to be doing dumb shit like wrestling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. He's not going to be standing with powerful strikers. He always fights to his opponent's weakness, and he's always bringing a game plan and the necessary conditioning and skill set to the cage to execute that game plan. Man, Bilal Muhammad, hell of a fighter. Gogo Flamingo saying at Prince of Mischief, exactly. Hoping for a 5-round back and forth, but it's going to be wild regardless. Kiwi saying Sandhagen did make Cheeto look human, though. Yeah, he sure did, man. Rausa is saying, thanks for all the help, Weezy. Do you think Merab can go over 61.5 significant strikes? Fight should play out a lot on the feet, and the Oban fantasy score looks a bit too high at 98.5. Yeah, I would agree with you on the Oban score. Let me show you guys something. Go to... So Oban Elliott is a welterweight. Oh shit, is this what I was looking for? Oh god damn it, that's not what I was looking for. Analytics, there we go. So we'll get the analytics for Oban Elliott's fantasy score and just determine how often these guys in this division get that kind of a fantasy score, right? So we can look at the 170-pound division. We can go down here to Prize Picks fantasy score. And for 3 rounds, we're looking at what? 98.5. If I type in that number, only 56% of winning fighters get that number. And in terms of the division, where's the analytics page on my template? Let me bring that up. Here we go. Analytics. DFS scores by round of finish. So Prize Picks, the winner gets about 122 for a first round finish, 117 for a second round finish, 111 for a third round finish, but only 79 for a decision win. And Oban Elliott's not this murderous finisher. And also the points. See, the work rate per minute is about 3.66 points per minute for Prize Picks, but the striking work rate is 2.45 per minute. The grappling work rate is 1.21. So what that's telling you is that grapplers score about half the amount of points per minute than strikers do, because it's so much less likely that you're going to land significant strikes on the ground. So once you get a takedown, you don't get credited for any control time. So if you're the type of fighter that takes somebody down, lays on top of them for 3 rounds, and lands some pitter-pat ground and pound and hunts for submissions, but doesn't really get any of them, you might only score like 6 or 7 points over the course of a round. So if you think that Oban Elliott is going to be looking for takedowns here against Val Woodburn, and you don't think there's much of a chance that he finishes them, I'd say it's a very high percentage that he goes under that 98.5 significant strikes. And then if we were to look at Merab, 61.5 significant strikes, if we look at the numbers for the division, 61.5. Only 29% of the winners get more than that amount of significant strikes, and only 14% of the losers. So on average, 21.56% of men's bantamweight fighters get over 61.5 significant strikes. And we've got Merab's numbers here. Merab is landing 4.91 at distance and 4.46 overall. Henry Cejudo lands 3.93 and only absorbs 3.15. So he absorbs a lot less significant strikes on average than Merab does. So with the weight of time in the cage here, with them basically having the same amount of cage time, 4.46 plus 3.15 equals 7.61 divided by 2, about 3.8 significant strikes per minute, I think is a fair um projection. So at 61 and a half significant strikes, you're not even getting 61 and a half at that average. So I think Merab can go over that number, but it's going to need to be taking place at distance striking range a lot more than it is in the clinch and on the ground. So I think that with I think he actually goes under 61 and a half significant strikes, but you just never know. It's a Merab fight. He could land like 200, you know? So it just depends on how the style plays out. But I like the Oban fantasy score under 98 and a half a lot more than I like a Merab over or under total on significant strikes. Morphatrix saying, hey, Weezy, who do you think is most likely to bust a ton of parlays this weekend? Costa, maybe? Well, Costa maybe not showing up, you know? Let's see. The parlay busters. I don't really, there's not a lot of parlayable lines on this card. I mean, like, I'm not parlaying Oban Elliott. I'm not parlaying Miranda Maverick. I'm not parlaying Barlow. He's a debutante. Not parlaying either one of these guys. They're both really low level. Nakamura is minus 1,200. You don't parlay that. This is a heavyweight fight where either one of these guys could get clipped. That's super high variance. I don't think either of them are parlay material. There's rumors Lemos might be hurt. There's rumors Dern is training in a garage with a dude that she's banging. So, that's something I'm not parlaying that fight. Anthony Hernandez. I mean, like maybe some money lines. Some props, time props I'm parlaying, but man, I don't know who's parlaying on this card. Money lines. I wouldn't be. I don't see any parlayable money lines, personally. Yeah, maybe Whitaker busts some parlays if Costa just comes out blasting and lands a big shot. We got Kiwi saying TB from Chronic Combat Conversation sold me Woodburn today. His read was hard to argue with. Yeah, man, it's a big plus money number, man. And I mean, Oban Elliott is not some world beater. We got Ali Swervo saying, I say cash out and live bet. Nothing wrong with that. I would cash that out for sure, says Morphatrix. The 12.5K bet from earlier. Yeah. We got Happy Valentine's Day. Feel the Woodburn. Let's go, SD Crusader. Thanks for hanging out with us. We've got Gogo saying Sandhagen beatdown was telling. Cheeto's only got one top 10 win. Rob Font, who again was outpointing him for 80% of the fight, and then he would get caught with these huge shots. Kyle saying, thanks, Unc. I was leaning the cash out after hearing that. You helped me do it with confidence. Congratulations on winning $6,800, Kyle Kelly. Pat yourself on the back. Big up yourself and enjoy yourself and buy yourself something nice, man. Well done, dude. We got Kiwi Brew saying biggest fraud in this card has to be Zhang, potentially. These Chinese fighters fighting low-level competition could get absolutely fraud checked. And I'm betting on Brenson Hibero at plus 125 to win that fight. So we'll see if I come up aces on that one. Okay, I have a question. What is the win versus losses for Zhang's competition? Oh, it's so bad, dude. It's so bad. And at the time they fought him, right? 8, 15, 24, 29, 31, 39, 40, 44, 53, 63, 66, 70, 72, 80 wins. 2, 5, 15, 20, 28, 30, 35, 37, 48, 58, 59, 62, 65, 66. So 80 and 66. But keep in mind, some of these are like, some padded records against garbage competition, so very interesting. But yeah, definitely a lot more losers than winners on that list. USADA is a non-factor now. Yes, so Quinlan can be back on the juice. No, they're still testing. It's just not USADA that's doing the testing. What is your best three-leg fighter money line parlay? Yikes. Oof. All right. Three-line money line parlay. I would go Anthony Hernandez, Ian the Future Gary, Alexander Volkanovski, plus 258 for the three-legger. That's what I would do. Go Flamingo saying, cash out, brother. I've been in this situation before more than once. It's not worth the risk. Bank 6K, have fun with the rest. The judges could screw you even if the reads are good, and the referee could screw you. Yeah, man. Things can go tits up. Hey, Unc, I like that fluffy 2-3 submission combo. Ooh, plus 430, huh? Is that on FanDuel, Vic? That's cheeky. Weezy likey. That I might be joining you on that, Vic. Brandon Olson saying, I love watching Weezy look for the right document like a mad scientist. There's a lot of spreadsheets on my computer, man. We got Daz Vile saying, Vic, fluffy round 3 for the people. That's what I'm hoping for too, my man. We got my guy Tommy Unders in the room saying, best of luck this week, Unc. Right back at you, Tommy. Let's get it this week. Go saying Hernandez versus Roman, fight to start round 2. Whitaker versus Costa fight goes to decision. Tafa round 1 KO, Volk 4-5 decision. That Tafa round 1 KO is going to fatten that one up. I like it, dude. 30-1. Let's cash it, go. I like it a lot, dude. Let's get it, man. Yeah, there we go. And we got more for Trick saying, Weezy, any chance you know if Ian Gary has faced a southpaw before? Yeah, he faced Jordan Williams, who's a southpaw. I don't think Song Kanan was a southpaw. Let me look here. So definitely Jordan Williams in his debut is a southpaw. You see it right there. Darian Weeks was an orthodox fighter. Gabe Green, switch stance fighter, and he switches stances a lot. Song Kanan, also orthodox. Daniel Rodriguez is a southpaw. So yeah, he faced Rodriguez, he faced Jordan Williams, and he faced Gabe Green, who switches stances, and then Magny's an orthodox fighter who switches stances a lot as well. So yeah, he's definitely seen southpaws before, and that's something that people seem to think might be one of his little Achilles heels, that he's not the best defensively versus southpaws. Let's see, we got the Real Dark Knight saying, yeah, 3. What's up, Real Dark Knight? Thank you for hanging out. We got Gogo Flamingo saying, sorry for hijacking the chat. No more Cheeto talk, I swear. We got Real Dark Knight saying that those all seem rocky. I like all those spots, man. I think that's pretty good. Any fighter you like on next week's card, so I can try to beat line movement. I like I already parlayed Muhammad Naimov. I like him quite a bit. I parlayed his money line with Mateus Mendoza, who's fighting Jesus Aguilar, and I don't think Aguilar is any good, you guys. I don't think he's good at all. And I think Mendoza is a guy who's much younger and on a trajectory that's going straight up, while Aguilar's a regional scene, guy who's guillotine or bust. So I parlayed both of those lines, but keep in mind it's in Mexico City, so there's going to be some, you got to worry about conditioning. You have to worry about the altitude there, and that's going to be big in my capping next week. We got J-Bone saying, just waking up again, laughing my ass off. About to hit the mean rewatch. Let's go, man. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with your Uncle Weezy tonight. An hour and 40 minutes into Ask Weezy. Let's cut it off right here. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for all your questions. Please hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Please consider leaving me a comment. And the Patreon is where you get access to these phenomenal stats like you see here on the prop template, like you see here, well, with actual fights on the advanced stats template. The best way to support my work and to ensure that I keep showing up here on YouTube for free. So thank you guys for hanging out. God bless each and every one of you guys. And let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 298. I will be right back here on this channel on Friday after the weigh-ins to talk a greasy four-leg parlay with you guys. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Good night, and we'll check you out next time.